Well, as I was telling you, today we are going to conduct a training that is part of a course we are developing on leadership. The idea is to highlight the 10 most important skills that every leader should have and develop. So today, our main leader, Juan Manuel Jimenez, will not be able to join us. He is developing the business. He is currently finalizing the last details for our event here in Colombia. As you know, from the 15th to the 17th, we are going to have an event. The people who are connected in this room, let me see. Yes, indeed, we only have leaders, so you are 100% obligated to attend the event. And also to invite people to share this vision with others. Ready? So, today I will be accompanying you in this session where we will be talking about, can you please confirm if you can see my screen? Let me put the chat here on the side. Hello, hello. How is everyone? Great. Ready? Yes? Can you see it? All right, great. So, I was telling you that today we are going with the fourth session where we will be talking about the skill of emotional intelligence. So, previously, we had summarized the 10 skills. We have already talked about vision and strategic thinking, decision making, effective communication. Today we are going with emotional intelligence, and here we have the title of what the upcoming sessions will be. All right, so the main objective of this session is that you as leaders or as future leaders who have not yet reached that level can learn to manage emotions and connect with others and lead with empathy to generate impact and results for our teams and prospects. Because if we don't have our emotions focused in the right way, we will disconnect from our team and we won't be able to guide it towards broad growth, towards growth within the company as well. Ready? So the first thing I want us to do today is to analyze if you have ever lost a sale or a prospect by reacting poorly emotionally. I don't know, maybe you wrote to them, you talked to them about the business, they said something you didn't like and you simply never spoke to them again. Or maybe you responded in a way that wasn't correct and the conversation was lost. The message got disconnected, right? So this happens very, very, very often. It's very common. It happens all the time. Moreover, the attitude definitely influences the ability to attract or retain people within the business being developed. Ready? So primarily, emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize, understand, and manage one's own emotions and those of others, right? So you have to, it's not about suppressing anger, it's not about suppressing frustration, it's about learning to manage it, to say, yes, I'm angry, but that's it. I mean, I'm not going to take it out on others, nor am I going to make a scene because I'm upset or because I'm sad. It's about learning to manage your emotions, right? And in network marketing, emotional intelligence allows for more effective conversations, handling rejection, inspiring, and leading. So, talking about the components of emotional intelligence, the first thing we will find is self-awareness. And self-awareness is about being able to know what I feel when I am rejected. How do I react to this pressure? In other words, the first thing is to identify, to be aware of what one feels and how this is affecting oneself. Because there are people who may feel rejection, may feel anger, may feel sadness, but perhaps they don't identify it and manage it in different ways. There are people who, when they are sad, they are angry. When they are stressed, they are angry. In other words, they are angry all the time. These are people who still don't know how to manage their emotions. All right, learning to manage them is part of knowing that one has them, but not externalizing them in a way that affects our image or the emotional stability of others as well. The second is self-regulation, which is precisely what we are talking about right now. How do I manage my emotions in front of a difficult prospect in this case, which is what interests us, all right? So how do I maintain my composure? How do I not lose control of the situation? All of this is part of having emotional intelligence, all right? Additionally, something that is key in everything related to network marketing and in general the projects we undertake is motivation, right? Maintaining focus despite obstacles. That is, no matter what happens, I know what my goal is, I have it very clear, and I keep moving forward without allowing circumstances or what someone says to affect my goal. In other words, if I have it clear, I know what I have to do and strive until I achieve it. On the other hand, we have empathy, which is indeed understanding the emotions of my prospect or my team. When I understand how others feel, when I understand that they are going through X or Y situation and I am empathetic with that feeling, I can connect and I can understand how what I am selling, what I am doing can help solve, assist X or Y situation that the person I am talking to has, whether they are part of my team or a prospect. Ready? And finally, obviously, social skills. Connecting, flowing, leading from emotion 100%. Helps to develop social skills within a leader who has good emotional intelligence and that will undoubtedly be reflected in their results within network marketing. Ready? So we talked about how the first thing is to learn to handle rejection. Ready? So don't take it personally and understand that it's part of the process. Since the no is not part of you, it's simply an opportunity at that moment. Maybe that person is not ready, doesn't have the complete information, or it's simply not their priority now. Maybe we could try changing the question after getting a no. It's good to introspect and say, well, what did I do wrong? Where did I make a mistake? What can I improve? Read the conversations. This can help a lot to improve the quality of the information you are conveying and achieve better results with future prospects. Also, see rejection as part of the process. Rejection is not an obstacle, it's simply a stage in between of what is being developed, of what we are developing, right? So you just have to see it as a no bringing you closer to a yes. And very important in this business is keeping track, keeping accounts, that is, being clear about your numbers. For example, out of every 10 people, how many say no, how many say yes, or for every 20, however it may be. But it's important that you learn to keep track of a number, your numbers, of what you are doing, because that way you measure the quality of your work and your progress as well within what you are doing. Ready? I also forgot to mention here, apart from the fact that each experience of what we do, the matter of reflecting on about what was done, right? I was telling you to do an introspection to know if one was clear, if good questions were asked, if confidence and enthusiasm were conveyed, and it has. And all of this is part of the training to be able to improve. No one is born learned, and no one becomes an expert overnight. Everything is a process of continuous learning, right? Moreover, it helps a lot to learn how to handle rejection. Learn to train the mind with affirmations. So, strengthen self-confidence with phrases like, each one strengthens me. I am a professional in growth. My life does not depend on the responses of others. So when you strengthen your mind, it doesn't matter what happens externally. You remain firm, you stay well. And that confidence is also reflected in better work and better numbers. It was what we were talking about a moment ago. Ready? So, inspire with stories, connect through emotion, not with data. Here it is very important to have testimonials, meaning that you are your showcase. I really like using that analogy. In network marketing, basically, you are your showcase. If you show what you are selling, what you have, the results you have achieved, it is much easier for people to also see it, see the value, and connect with what you want to bring to them as well. So, testimonials are extremely important when you want to develop your business. Ready? Another very important topic is team support. A networker cannot be a selfish person. They cannot, because a selfish networker will not see growth in their team. So you need to know when to listen, when to motivate, and when to correct. It is super important that a true leader must be an example. A leader cannot ask for action from the team if he himself does not inspire, does not take action, does not have energy, does not have awareness, does not have attitude. He must have all of this to be able to, must have that leadership to be able to lead his team and guide it. Leadership is not imposed, leadership is contagious. So a leader must have and develop all these skills when they want a team that works in harmony with them, that works in the same tune. It's not just about demanding it, but being it to have it. And speaking of being it to have it, there's the topic of attracting people. Positive emotions are something magnetic. So you must be the reflection of what you want to attract. Being a good leader, emotional intelligence, all of this is contagious because it is a vibration. They are energies. If you communicate calmly, if you listen, if you pay attention, if you act with empathy, with firmness, you will attract people who resonate the same way. And what could be better than having a team full of leaders with whom you can work as a team, with whom you can truly develop the business? So you must be very clear that the energy you emit is the filter for the people who will come to you. If you are a leader who always has this attitude, you will have leaders with this attitude. If you are always in a state of lack, need, and desperation, then you will have an army of desperate people behind you, and it won't add as much value as having leaders who are truly forming, building, and growing. Ready? So, finally, we are wrapping up. We are going to talk a little about the tools to develop your emotional intelligence. In fact, we have already been discussing this during the training, but then I do want them to be very specific, and hopefully you memorize them, save them, take a screenshot, I don't know, so that you keep them very present and practice them. So the first thing is self-observation. So a very good tool is to keep an emotional journal, for example, where you sit down, where you write down how you feel during your interactions. For example, after giving a business presentation, after talking with a prospect, with your team, with a client, write down how you feel, if you feel motivated, if you feel sad, and learn to identify which situation triggers which emotion in such a way that you manage to organize it, okay? The second are emotional regulation techniques. There are people who, as we mentioned a moment ago, react in a very extreme way to the different emotions they have. So if you happen to be one of those people who find it difficult to regulate their emotions, it's super good to practice breathing exercises. This is very, very good for managing stress, for managing anger, for managing panic. Absolutely. Everything is very good. I highly recommend breathing exercises, or you can also use other types of relaxing techniques such as meditation or mindfulness. Since these techniques allow you to stay calm during presentations, rejections, or tense moments in general, they will be useful for everything, not just for what you are developing as a networker, okay? Thirdly, as the third tool, we have active listening. And this involves learning to develop the habit of listening without interrupting or judging. And this is quite difficult for some people because we are used to talking, and having others listen to us. And when someone wants to share something, then there is a tendency to interrupt and say, oh, yes, me too. Or, oh, yes, I. So all the time, the person wants to change the topic of conversation to talk about themselves. It's a bit like the ego wanting to emerge in the middle of the conversation. You have to learn to listen. You have to learn to hear what the other person wants to say, as this will allow you to understand your prospect, to get to know them, to know what their needs are and connect empathetically with what they have. But if you don't listen, then you won't know how to connect because you won't get to know them. So listening is super important. Then the fourth tool is positive reframing, which is something really cool. Maybe some people don't pay much attention to it or find it a bit crazy, but in reality, it's very important, and starting to apply it, it changes you. It definitely changes you. And it's the topic of positive reframing. It's about learning to change your internal dialogue. There are people who might be very insecure. So when we face a situation of rejection, we withdraw more, we feel more embarrassed. So this internal dialogue begins in our head saying, this is not for me. I don't like this. I don't feel good. So all those conversations in your internal dialogue don't allow you to grow either. And on the contrary, they keep you stuck. So learning to say and change these phrases that lower your vibration for others, that make you feel more empowered. Instead of saying, I was rejected, you are going to say or think, I am one step closer to yes. Was I rejected? No, it's okay. I am moving forward. I am connecting. I am talking to other people. So this strengthens your resilience and your attitude towards challenges, because in this business, well, it's something you will encounter very, very often. Ready? And finally, the last tool we have for developing your emotional intelligence is empathetic feedback, which essentially consists of feedback given with respect using phrases like, I share this with you because I believe in your potential, or put in this really creates stronger, a more friendly, healthier work environment and strengthens the growth of your team. Ready? Remember the importance of having emotional intelligence. Thank you. As a leader, you should be able to guide all these people towards achieving better results as well. So, empathetic feedback is very important, because when you destroy the trust of the people who are with you, who want to grow with you, you are not strengthening your team. So, giving empathetic feedback, being kind with the observations you want to make to the leaders of your team, will help you make them more receptive, better understand what you want them to improve on, and strive more to correct that detail that might not be going very well. Ready? So, well, finally, we wanted to do this activity with Juan Manuel, who has a lot of experience in the subject, which was the simulation of objections, which is thinking about objections and responses with empathy without entering into conflict and using emotional intelligence. So, for example, we could talk about the person or prospect who tells you no, it's just that I don't have money for that right now, so they brush you off and don't want to talk to you, right? So, an empathetic objection could be, for example, no, of course, I understand you. However, I will leave you the information so you can review it and decide later. All right, you're not forcing them to buy now, but you're also not disconnecting or discarding them as a prospect. All right. So you need to learn to identify situations like this where you can respond intelligently without losing the connection with the prospects as well. All right. Or with your team. So to wrap up, it's important to highlight these 3 key points within the training where we emphasize that emotional intelligence helps you connect, inspire, and lead, especially persevere, right? Since it's very easy to give up, very easy not to want to continue when you might encounter adversities within the process. 2, it's not about controlling emotions, but channeling them to your advantage, all right? So we're not just talking about your own emotions, but also those of others, okay? And 3rd, people follow those who make them feel good. So you should strive to be a warm person, an empathetic person, someone who is pleasant to talk to, all right? This will help as well. not only with your prospects, but with your entire team in general, and well, in itself, with your social relationships. All right, it's something that once developed will not only serve you in your business, but in general for everything you are doing or whatever you want to undertake. Well, so this was the information we wanted to convey to you today in this fourth session about the DNA of the leader, where we wanted to talk about the fourth skill, emotional intelligence. All right, so remember that you can follow us on our social media on YouTube as Big Global LATAM, on TikTok, also Facebook and Instagram. All the social media platforms are super active. We are constantly sharing information about events, products, results, testimonials, absolutely everything. So it would be really cool if you follow us there, and you can tag us too in the posts you make. Thank you very much to everyone who connected today. Thank you for taking this time, not only for me, but for Juan, who was initially going to be here, but for yourselves and your personal development and growth. Well, thank you very much for your time and for joining me, and take care. Goodbye.